of Reserve Judgment. Navy Waves has gone into fifth on the outside of Steps Match. And then after these is Little Hero. Inside the final quarter of a mile, one flight of hurdles left to take. Ballydangan from now on the outside. Reserve Judgment, who hits the front. Reserve Judgment going on. Navy Waves is shadowing the move. Then in third place every step of the way. Here's the final flight. Reserve Judgment from Navy Waves, who was low over it. Back in third is every step of the way. 150 yards to go. Reserve Judgment from Navy Waves. The Lucky Lobster from a long way back is finishing well. But it's Reserve Judgment who's out in front from Navy Waves and the Lucky Lobster, and racing close home. Reserve Judgment on debut for Leanne Breen is another one for Carl Miller. The Lucky Lobster might have just got second from Navy Waves. Every step of the way back in fourth.
Yeah, Reserve Judgment then, as you heard, on his first start then for...
We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.
Dean Street. It depends on which Dean Street arrives, because he seems to have a mind of his own. And if the real Dean Street pitches up,
nice stakes day, and we'll go back to Friday night also. Penn National had the Penn Mile card, and Frankie Dettori kind of made headlines there. It was a nice night Friday night leading into the stakes Saturday. We talked plenty about him yesterday. Great stakes day. Stephen Foster preview day at Churchill, and a nice stakes lineup at Woodbine as well. We talked about both of those on the show yesterday. Joe Christofek looked at Churchill, and Ron Geerking from the Racing Forum up at Woodbine looked at the Woodbine Stakes. And so we'll recap some of that action. A little bit later on, we'll be joined by NBC's Donna Brothers. You see Donna on the NBC horse racing broadcast, typically on horseback, doing the post-race interviews with the jockeys. But this coming Tuesday night, she will be moderating a panel I am honored to be on, along with Acacia Courtney and Maggie Wolfendale Morley. We'll be previewing the Belmont Stakes. It'll be at the National Museum of Racing on Union Avenue. If you've never been, literally right across the street from the racetrack. So I thought we'd take a few minutes just to talk a little bit about that event coming up on Tuesday. Going to benefit Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. Nice organization, locally based. They use some retired racehorses and benefit people. And so we'll talk a little bit about the event coming up on Tuesday night towards the end of the program. But in the meantime, we will do a little preview or a review of some of the action from yesterday. I will say, let me note a couple of things. Keith Asmussen, yesterday when I was in here doing the handicapping show, clipped heels on the backstretch in one of the mid-card races at Churchill. Keith went down and suffered some broken bones. He updated on Twitter later. I think he has to have some surgery on maybe his leg, but also had some ribs that were maybe cracked and some contusions. So he happily okay, but did get banged up in the situation, and obviously with some surgery will be on the sidelines. And then to double check on that this morning, I looked, his brother Eric also had a spill at Lone Star yesterday. And it seems like he came out of that okay. The follow-up wasn't as comprehensive necessarily there, but it seems like he's okay. And so we're certainly hoping for the best for both of them. But just a little update there, because if you were watching yesterday, we did note the spill by Keith Asmussen. I didn't call up the replay. I probably should have, from the Epsom Derby yesterday, but I wanted to bring it up and see if, just quickly, I was seeing, I don't see it right now, but Epsom Derby yesterday was a really nice win by Brian runner, City of Troy. It was only the 5th career start. He had been undefeated last year as a 2-year-old, and then came back at Newmarket this year, and as a short-priced favorite, ran a dull 8th or 6th. No, 9th. Print's very small. But then in his seasonal debut, but then came back in his second start of this 3-year-old season yesterday in the Epsom Derby. Looked really good. And I bring it up because, and I saw it on Twitter, and I'm not seeing it now. There was some talk of maybe showing up at Saratoga with this one, going, maybe trying something a little bit different. And I'm seeing if I can quickly find it, and I'm not seeing it here. But that would certainly be a lot of fun if obviously if that happens. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see if we. And when I say Saratoga, I mean Saratoga proper, not next weekend, obviously. But again, it was a nice win by City of Troy in the Epsom Derby yesterday. One of the historic stakes around the world. Speaking of stakes around the world, we don't talk about Penn National too often, but their big night is Penn Mile night. That was Friday night. And as I say, it was a little bit notable with Frankie Dettori in town. Who's imagining Frankie Dettori showing up at Penn National? But they have a big night. He bounces over there. We'll take a look. I think he only had these 2 mounts, the Penn Oaks and the Penn Mile. We'll take a look at the Penn Oaks. Relatively late race, poolside with Slim. Is going to get it done. Second win in the 5th career start. It's a Rusty Arnold trainee. Poolside with Slim's the number 3 horse, ridden by Frankie Dettori. Getting it done as the 9-5 favorite. Chart margin's going to wind up to be ahead, so it's a ding-dong battle. Nicest by the 4 makes this late run. As the second choice, co-second choice, Pounce was the co-second choice. That was the 10 horse running third. Pounce, the Marquesi horse, started out the career looking very potent, and then ran 11th in the Appalachian, and it was kind of a fading third there. Still think Pounce is talented. Nicest Pie came out of a 4th in a Churchill stakes race, but had done well at Turfway this winter in stakes action. So Nicest Pie kind of validated with that close second to, just missed by a head. But poolside was Slim. Interesting 3-year-old filly on the turf to watch going forward. Again, that was the second win in the 5th career start. Had tried a couple of stakes before, ran 4th in a stake at Tampa, ran 5th in that Appalachian at Keeneland, but gets it done. Again, is the favorite as well, with notably Frankie Dettori on board. And again, $5.60 there. And then we move on to the highlight of the night. They had a nice stakes card all night on Friday at Penn National. But these were the 2 highlights, obviously. Penn Mile Grade 3 event, mile on the turf, $400,000 up for grabs. The favorite was Trickery, a horse that was called Tricari when he won a few weeks ago down at Churchill at a monster 47-1 for Graham Motion. But subsequently, might have been on Bitch, somewhere I saw Graham interviewed, and it should be Trickery. So I'll go with that. The 47-1 win probably was too big of a price that day. Not that it should have been a favorite, but the 47-1 was generous. Comes into Friday night, 3 wins and 5 starts. And Trickery is the 10 horse. The 1 horse is Aspenite. The 4 horse, First World War. They're all right there at the wire. but First World War gets it done for Brendan Walsh. Frankie Dettori on board. Again, I think he only had those 2 mounts. So invades into Penn National territory and takes the 2 biggest races of the night. Good for him. Again, if you aren't aware, it was the end of last year, the end of the flat season last year, where he kind of had announced his retirement. And he was really that whole year, he was kind of doing a retirement tour over in Europe. And then said, nah, you know what? I think I'll ride the winter at Santa Anita. Now he's bouncing around and picking his spots. And it was a big Friday night. All of that said, First World War gets it done by a nose, Aspenite, a neck over Tricari or Trickery. But it's that subdivision I like quite a bit. The 3-year-olds on the turf. And First World War may be moving into the leadership of that division. This is a nice, steady run and just going to get up there in the shadow of the wire. Bam. First World War, now 3 wins in 7 career starts with a couple of seconds. The wins include the Kitten's Joy earlier this season down at Gulfstream and the Maiden Breaker, but again, has been right there in the hunt. So it's a division that, as I say, I like quite a bit. People who watch know that I like this division quite a bit. And I don't think anybody has really wrestled control of it necessarily, but First World War is starting to look certainly pretty good, as is Trickery, who is right there in the thick of things. Aspenite is a Steve Asmussen runner that, they took a little bit of a shot. That one went off at 17-1. Again, Trickery was the 2-1 favorite. First World War was the 3rd choice at 3-1. Second choice was Good Lord, Good Lord Laurie. The 2 winds up running 4th as the second choice. But Aspenite, again, at 17-1, completes the exacta. And that's an interesting little, perhaps 3-year-old turf runner for Asmussen, because he was coming out of a couple of turf sprints at Keeneland and at Churchill off of early season layoff. That's an angle I like quite a bit. A couple of sprints and then you stretch out in the 3rd start back. It certainly seemed to pay off a little bit for the Asmussen runner, and Aspenite may be an interesting player now in that subdivision of the 3-year-olds on the turf. All right, that was Penn National on Friday night. Let's take a quick look at the action at Churchill yesterday. Nice stakes action against Stephen Foster preview day. The Arlington, I liked Ottoman Fleet. It was the Charlie Appleby runner. Just missed in the North American seasonal debut. Has ridden in North America, raced in North America previously, but had been over in the UAE this winter. Tried Newmarket in the start previous to coming over for the Fort Marcy and had won the Newmarket race in Group 3 over there. May 4th, ran a close-up second in the Fort Marcy. And then we had this race yesterday with Ottoman Fleet for Charlie Appleby with Flavian Pratt on board. Did go off as the even money favorite and makes a nice run in the lane, is the number 1 horse. Nice run in the lane to get up. The chart margin will wind up to be a length. Chasing the Crown runs 2nd. Irish Aces runs 3rd. Nice little late run from Chasing the Crown, but it was a little too late. Again, chart margin winds up to be behind. Ottoman Fleet gets it done. Again, Charlie Appleby, Godolphin, Flavian Pratt. I would think, I didn't see anything, but I wouldn't be shocked to see this horse show up in New York for Charlie Appleby with some of the opportunities we have coming up. So we'll see, but certainly looked pretty good yesterday, going off again as the favorite. In the Aristides, I could not get past Skelly in here. Skelly coming in off a couple of triple-digit buyer wins down at Oaklawn. Again, that's Ottoman Empire getting it done in the moving on to the Aristides. As I say, Skelly looking pretty good with a couple of triple-digit buyer wins down at Oaklawn, and the betting public makes him the 35 cent to $1 favorite. And Skelly ran well. I didn't see numbers. I'd like to see what the buyer was yesterday. He ran well, but man, he was pushed. The early pace was very fast. 21 and change, 44 and change, 55 and change. And as we watch the stretch runs, Skelly will be the number 3 horse. And again, ran well, but was pushed through those fractions. Subsequently, number 2, closed the game Sugar, second longest price on the board at 18-1 for Adam Rice. Just keeps coming, and will eventually get the victory in here at, as I say, 18-1, $38.92. Skelly winds up running second. It's a length margin at the end. Running third was Tejano Twist. I tried Tejano Twist in the Count Fleet down at Oaklawn against Skelly. And at that point, I realized I'm going to stick with Skelly. So, again, I found it hard to get past Skelly yesterday, but the fractions kind of added up to a tough situation in the stretch, and closed the game. Sugar gets it done. A horse that debuted at Saratoga a couple seasons ago, August of 2022, debuted for Adam Rice at Saratoga and got it done in the debut effort. Relatively lightly raced 4-year-old. That was only the 7th start of the career, 4th win, couple of second-place finishes. So, again, Skelly is clearly a very nice, talented sprinter for Steve Asmus, and I would think we'd see him up at Saratoga, I would think. But close the game Sugar, I would think that one maybe aimed for Saratoga as well. Would not surprise me at all. All right, the Shawnee mile and 16th grade 3 event yesterday at Churchill for the fillies and mayors. I took I took as my top pick Scylla, as did the betting public, 6-5 favorite. I thought the last race was a good confidence builder for Scylla. Moved into an optional claimer and had a big win at Churchill. And so off of that, I thought, I'm going to trust Bill Mott, gets back into a stakes company, but was facing a salty field in here. Zajira, I think we're all familiar with the end of the season she had last year, winning a number of stakes, including the Mother Goose and the Fall City. Seasonal debut, the La Troyenne for Zajira, was a little bit of a disappointment, but I still thought this horse was talented and better than that last effort. Same with Wet Paint, who ran 6th in the Apple Blossom last time. I thought they were both better than those performances, and they ran 2nd and 3rd. But Scylla is a pretty easy winner here as the favorite. Zajira runs 2nd as the 2nd choice, and Wet Paint runs 3rd as the 3rd choice. So again, they're some talented. Wet Paint, nice run up the rail to get 3rd there. I think they're all legitimate players in this division. I should mention Who's Your Filly ran 4th, a horse that, funny career, certainly. Started out with a lot of promise, but the buyer numbers weren't quite living up to that. And then the buyer numbers kind of validated, and she kind of went back into the rest of the division she was facing. Seasonal debut, couple of starts, nice promising progression. Joe Christopher yesterday liked her. And coming around the turn, Who's Your Filly looked pretty good. So I'd be interested to see what the rest of the year pans out for her and where Tommy Ames goes with Who's Your Filly. But it was a nice performance by Scylla, Zajira, Wet Paint. I think they're all three worth paying attention to. And all three of them, I would think, given their connections, Saratoga is not out of the question for that bunch either. In the regret, we were looking at 3-year-old fillies going a mile and an eighth on the grass. Dancing and Dixie was my top pick. That one scratched, so I moved up number 1, Way to Be Marie, who I think took the but 3-2 was the favorite. Way to Be Marie is going to be right in the thick of things for much of the race, but then fades to be 5th as the favorite. Pin Up Betty gets it done in here. Luis Saez and Michael Maker, a horse I didn't use, but a horse that obviously is going to now be one to watch on this, 3-year-old filly side of things on the turf, because she broke her maiden last time and did it pretty convincingly, and now follows up with a Grade 3 win. Took her 8 starts to break her maiden, but now she's gone back-to-back. This is one of those horses, and it looks like, and Mike Maker in the winner's circle seemed to kind of indicate this, just figured it out. So Pin Up Betty, again, in this subdivision of 3-year-old fillies on the turf, is now one to watch. And she got better with the move to turf, clearly. The first, 6 starts of the career were either dirt or there was one synthetic try. And then the last 2 before this were turf starts. At Keeneland, she was a good second in her first start on turf, followed up with the maiden breaker in the second start, and now gets a stakes win, a graded stakes win. So again, she'll be one to watch. Gavia runs third. Buku runs second. Buku was the second choice at 2-1. But again, it was a clear margin for the winner. She'll be fun to watch, Pin Up Betty, because again, figured it out. It seems like maybe with the benefit of moving to a surface that maybe plays to her now, because she is clearly an improved performer on the grass. The Blame also on the card yesterday at Churchill. I like Cagliostro. Cagliostro here is going to be the number 9 horse. That was my top pick, coming out of a gutsy win at Keeneland for Cherie DeVoe, whose horses seem to be going well. Cagliostro is the number 9. Right here, I'm thinking, it's 7-1, looks pretty good. But keep your eye on the number 2 Chicklet and the number 2 Saddlecloth coming there now late. Highland Falls gets the momentum going. Right about here, you're thinking, I don't know, this is going to get tight. And it winds up to be a length, actually. Highland Falls goes by and widens the margin a little bit as going by. Cagliostro runs second, and Dream Lake runs third. I like Cagliostro over Dream Lake. I didn't use Highland Falls. It was one of those, you got notes next to and whatnot. It was coming out of a triple-digit performance behind Skippy Longstocking in the Oaklawn Handicap in the previous start. That just looked a little too good to me. I wasn't sure I was quite buying into that. Betting public did. They made Highland Falls the favorite. It was Florent Giroux and Brad Cox for Godolphin. Highland Falls now is one to kind of watch in the handicap division, perhaps, because this was only the 7th career start, now the 4th win. I didn't see the numbers yet today, but again, had that triple digit down at Oaklawn. So Highland Falls, interesting. Cagliostro ran great. And again, given Brad Cox, Reed DeVoe, perhaps, would be shocked to see these horses up at Saratoga, but a nice performance in Highland Falls now, as they say, maybe one to watch. Having been lately raced, but showing some promise so far in the handicap division. All right, we wound up the stake section yesterday at Churchill with the Audubon. 3-year-olds on the turf. I like Cagino. Going out for our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds and Company, a Shug trainee, had shown plenty of promise so far early in the career. 5 starts, a win in 3 seconds. But the last couple of starts, I thought, those are hard luck performances. Well, Cagino is the number 2 horse, and as you can see, does kind of dominate this one on the front end all the way around. Chart margin actually extends. Right here, you can see it's a couple of lengths. Chart margin under the wire will be over 4 lengths. It was the second choice at 5-2. The favorite was Cameo Performance, the number 3 horse. That one winds up running 5th. Running second is Laganos, and third is Camaro Z. But again, pretty clear victory here for Cagino in the Audubon yesterday. Kind of solidifying the opinion I've had of him really throughout the career, or going back to the early part of the career. Just those second place finishes was kind of knocking on the door. And as I say, the last couple, I thought the trips, were something to maybe take a look at, and validated those thoughts yesterday with a nice, convincing victory. And again, races like the National Museum of Racing for 3-year-olds on the turf, and the various that series up here. So we'll see where they go. But since it is our friends at West Point, I would not be shocked to see this one up at Saratoga as well. All right, so nice stakes day yesterday. All of that said, it was Stephen Foster Preview Day, so there will be opportunities for these guys down at Churchill as well. They may wind up there, but I thought there was a lot of nice performances down at Churchill yesterday, regardless of where they wind up next, and worth looking at going forward. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll shift our attention. It was a nice stakes day yesterday at Woodbine, so we'll take a look at that. And as I say, a little bit later on, we'll be joined by Donna Brothers from NBC. She'll be hosting a panel at the National Museum of Racing on Tuesday night. I'm happy to be on the panel along with Maggie and Acacia, and we will take a little bit of a look and try to give some folks some thoughts on Belmont Stakes coming up in Saratoga. Again, that's Tuesday night at the National Museum of Racing. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But before that, again, we'll take the break. We'll come back, and we will take a look at Woodbine Stakes action from yesterday. All of that right after this. Stay tuned. It's been referred to as possibly the best equine-themed gift shop on the planet. Impressions of Saratoga. Impressions of Saratoga, celebrating the Saratoga and equestrian lifestyles. It's your number one choice for Saratoga souvenirs, apparel, and gift shopping. We have gifts for the entire family, and we're pet-friendly too. Visit us online at impressionssaratoga.com or come on down. Impressions of Saratoga, 368 Broadway, downtown Saratoga.
Birdstone is an outside right. They're coming down to the finish. It's Smarty Jones. Hold on. Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. Here comes Churchill. Independent Club to take it to Woodbine. These two arch rivals head to head. We're just staring down them. It's going to be a three-horse battle finish to the top. Here's the winner. Auto finish.
Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow in the studio again. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at some of the stakes action from yesterday at Woodbine. Again, they had a nice little stakes card too. But as they say yesterday with looking at these races. And he liked the winner of the Cartier. Cartier yesterday, 6 furlongs for 4-year-olds and older. I went with Candy Overload. Who faced up with Flag of Honor last time. And Ron said, hopefully this will be a nice rematch of these two. They were right in the thick of things in the Thorncliffe back in early May. It wound up to be Candy Overlord over Flag of Honor. But yesterday, the number 4 Flag of Honor gets it done. And betting public liked the Flag of Honor yesterday, despite running second in the May stake. Candy Overload, though, winds up fifth in here, number 3 horse, but number 4 Flag of Honor gets it done. Again, betting public was on board correctly. They flipped things up from the results of the Thorncliffe in the previous. Now that said, Flag of Honor had also gone up the favorite that day, but wound up a close-up second. So betting public was looking to switch things up, and they did. Yesterday, Murrah on board for a 22 to carry. Nice little victory there. As I say, Candy Overload was a little bit disappointing. Old Chestnut ran second at 11-1. So despite the favoritism of the winner, you still wound up with a $40 exactly in there. But nice performance again by Flag of Honor, who again Ron Deerkink yesterday. He also like Flag of Honor to switch things up as compared to the race back in early May. Also on the card yesterday at Woodbine, Belle Mahone. I like the 7 Millie Girl. I was not enamored with the morning line price of 5-2, and that went down a half a tick to 2-1 favoritism. Millie Girl was coming off a December layoff. It's that time of year up at Woodbine for Catherine Day Phillips. What I liked was this horse came back from a similar layoff last year and was a winner. So I like when horses can kind of prove themselves off layoffs like that. But again, off the layoff, the short price was a little bit disappointing. The number 7 Millie Girl will wind up as the favorite. But the horse I had underneath, Fashionably Fab, this one was 8-1 on the morning line and held at a decent 7-1. Very playable. Hadn't been seen since December either, but when last seen, had a 4-race win streak. Nice stretch duel here. Will Be Fashionably Fab getting it done over number 5 Solo Album. And again, I had those two in the second and third spots. My top pick, as I say, Millie Girl, did not live up to the favoritism, but that just meant a couple other logical players get it done. Fashionably Fab at 7-1 and Solo Album at 4-1. And so subsequently, you got exacta with the two horses I thought were very playable. Fashionably Fab, again, last year when last seen, had a 4-race win streak up at Woodbine. Had to overcome the layoff, but certainly was in good form from last seen. And Solo Album was a Mark Cassie trainee. He was coming off a dull performance down at Gulfstream, but that gave the horse a little bit of recency as compared to some of the others here. That was Mark Cassie, who's having a really good meet. The horse that had run well in the past up in Woodbine. So as I said, a couple of logical players, decent little exactly in there, but it was Fashionably Fab for Kevin Attard done in the Bell Mahone. The Royal North also on the card yesterday. And I'll tell you, take a look kind of as they come around the turn here. If you can pick up the number 7 horse, I like Secret Money. Secret Money is going to wind up running second. Again, number 7, Father Stuff, right there, Father Stuff 4, if you can pick that up. Secret Money will subsequently get this DQ. The number 7 is going to wind up second. All of that said, the winner was number 5, Play the Music, as the favorite. I had Secret Money over Play the Music. They came under the wire in the flip-flopped order. Again, the little jumble around the turn, Secret Money wound up getting disqualified from 2nd to 7th. So it wound up Play the Music over Miss Speedy, over Dolce Sorpresa. So again, I had the top 2 flip-flop with the DQ through that motion out the window. But it is Play the Music getting it done. Or Mark Cassie, who again, off to a really good start this season at Woodbine, where he always does well, but once again, a nice start for Mark. Secret Money was coming in for Brendan Walsh from Kentucky off of the close-up second place finish to Overcharged in one of the really nice states. I think it was Oak State for that state, but it was a really nice performance by Overcharged. But this one just missed with a nice second place finish and ran well yesterday. But again, did bother that horse on the turn, so this is a justifiable DQ for Secret Money. But Play the Music, getting it done for Mark Cassie. Coming off a stakes win early May for Cassie right at Woodbine in the Whimsical, and that leads into the 2-1 favoritism yesterday. So Betting Public gets it right. Mark Cassie chalks up another on the resume up at Woodbine this season, where he will, I'm sure, continue to do so. Marty Drexler is also having a very good meet up there. And finally, the stakes action yesterday, as noted with Ron Gierkink yesterday, a couple of champions, a couple of sovereign winners in there. Tyson, Paramount Prince last year's King's Plate winner. But it winds up to be a horse I didn't use, but a horse that certainly took action as compared to the morning line. The winner is going to be Plazzi, 20-1 on the morning line. But went up at 6-1. Here, it's Mark Cassie. So that may have played into a little bit. We talked a little bit with Ron yesterday about the jockey Sabachi, who was clicking, according to the Racing Form stats, 43% so far. Limited amount, as Ron said, he had a couple of suspensions or one or two that he served a little bit of time. So he had more limited mounts than some of these other guys, but still he was clicking at a high percentage. Cassie going high percentage, and they get it done. As they say, with a horse, the number 3 horse Palazzi with a nice late run. You can see him there on the outside getting the momentum going. Tyson's the number 1. Paramount Prince is the number 6. 7 is Get Smokin', another Cassie horse that seemed that just gets a little short late as the other 3 go by, but they're all right there at the wire. It was a fun race with Palazzi getting on Churchill's half length from 2nd to 3rd. Tyson to Paramount Prince was ahead. So it was a fun race. Palazzi gets it done for Mark Cassie. Again, I'm going to be very, very good meet is our friend Mark Cassie. Again, no surprise with that Woodbine. He always does very, very well. Do want to take a look at our play of the day. Just looking for my notes here. Play of the day, Dark Horse play of the day. And again, we want to thank our friends at the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga. Also, Impressions of Saratoga, both on Broadway. They're a couple of blocks away from each other on opposite sides of the street. But over the next week or so, if you're in Saratoga for some horse racing action and some dinner, stop by Dark Horse, stop by Impressions, and I guarantee you will enjoy the visit. Browse around, and you'll definitely have some fun. I don't know if you saw that here on the network, but my Dark Horse play of the day today, I'll go with some Woodbine action in the 7th this afternoon on the turf. And look, and it didn't see any, too early for changes or whatnot. So we'll hope they stay on the turf. But of course, up there, if they don't go on the turf, they move over to the synthetic, and typically I don't make really any changes anyway. But in the 7th at Woodbine, I'm going to go with number 8, Deadpan, in here as my play of the day, Dark Horse play of the day. It is 6-1, and it is Mark Cassie. And coming in off of the April try at Keeneland, which was a little bit disappointing perhaps, but clearly they hopes for this one with a couple of stakes tries already on the resume. One of those they sent out last December to try the mill out at Delmont. So as I say, clearly they've had some hopes for this horse. Hasn't quite lived up to it with only the maiden breaker as the win. But I thought with that Keeneland race under the belt here, some fitness coming into this. Some of these in here, again, being this time of year, are coming off of those December layoffs, where this one, again, has more recency. And Mark Cassie is just doing so well. I think this horse is very, very live, very playable in here. So I'm going to look at Deadpan as a live play of the day. Dark Horse play of the day, again, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga. They are sponsoring our play of the day throughout the Triple Crown season. We certainly appreciate that. They also sponsor the Dark Horse during the Saratoga season, but they're jumping on board for the Triple Crown, which will include Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. And I said it yesterday. I'm just seeing if I have my notes here. I noted the post times. Let me see if I can quickly pull that up again. Because it's worth noting. I have a bunch of notes here. Resilience is being considered for the Belmont. We didn't hear it earlier this week. Fierceness is out of the Belmont, having that name from the Haskell with Fierceness. So that will be a little bit of a change up from what I think people were maybe expecting. Here we go. Post times for next week's Belmont Stakes Festival of Saratoga, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And just so you're updated, Thursday, there'll be a 10-race program. It'll start at 12:50. Post time on Thursday, 12:50. Gates will open at 11. Friday, it's a 12-race program. Post time is 12:20. Gates will open at 10:30 on Friday. Saturday, 14 races. Kickoff post time 10:45 a.m. again, that's the situation now. Big days at the racetracks around the country, these really big days. It's pretty much bring your donuts for a little breakfast to kick things off. And Saturday's going to kick off at 10:45. The gates will open at 9. And Sunday, a 10-race program. New York Showcase Day. Should be a fun afternoon. 12:50 post time. The gates will open at 11. So again, the post time for next week, Saratoga, Thursday, 12:50, Friday, 12:20, Saturday, 10:45, and Sunday, 12:50. Again, should be a lot of fun. Certainly looking forward to it here. And part of that fun will be Tuesday night at the museum. It will be the Belmont Review program. Will be hosted by Donna Brothers from NBC. I'll be on the panel. Casey Courtney, Maggie Wolfendale Morley also. And we'll take a break and we'll come back. We will talk about that. The moderator of the panel, Donna Brothers from NBC. So all of that when we come back on this Sunday morning edition of Racenet Across America. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
As noted before the break, joined now by our friend Donna Brothers. You see her on the NBC horse racing broadcast, typically on horseback with some post-race interviews. But this week, she will be moderating the panel on Tuesday night at the National Museum of Racing. Again, it should be a lot of fun. I'll be on the panel along with Acacia and Maggie. We'll be taking a little preview look at Belmont action. Should be a lot of fun. Again, Tuesday night at the museum. Donna, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you today?
Very good. Happy to have you on board to talk a little bit about the panel. But before we do that, as noted, for NBC, you're typically on horseback doing the post-race interviews. And I so far, the Triple Crown, and knock wood, it continues coming up this week. But I think there have been some great storylines. I think Derby weekend, the whole week, but certainly Friday and Saturday, lots of great racing, good storylines. That continued, I thought, Preakness weekend with the Preakness. But part of that was the jockey, and I'm just curious, your impressions, coming up to both of these jockeys immediately after the race. Really nice stories with Brian Hernandez. He gets the Oaks Derby double, which is great for him. And then Jamie Torres, jumps in and gets a classic victory as well. What were your impressions, post-race talking to both of those jockeys?
Yeah, they were both so easy to be happy for. I've known Brian for, I feel like, forever. I retired from riding in 1998, and he started right after that. But my husband trained horses up until 2009, and Brian rode for Frankie. And I know Frankie thought a lot of him. I thought a lot of him as a jockey. And as a person, I think sometimes more importantly, right? But, just to see him, he's been playing his trade in Kentucky, and not unheralded. People in Kentucky have always known that he's a top jockey and can compete at the highest level. And we saw him win the Breeders' Cup Classic a few years ago. But to see him get the Oaks and how happy he was after that, and the next day, it kind of took me back to the year when Calvin Burrell won the Oaks on Rachel Alexandra and said, she's in the wrong race. She could win the race tomorrow. And then he comes back the next day and wins the Derby on Mine That Bird. So anyway, it was really easy to be happy for Brian. And then Jaime Torres, a jockey that just came on the scene. And in my post-race interview, one of the things I talked about was, in December of 2019, he watches TV and sees horse racing for the very first time in his young life. And said, this is what I want to do. I want to be a jockey. And his family got behind the idea. He went to the jockey school in Puerto Rico. He graduated from jockey school in 2022. And 2 years later, he won one of our classic races. So, he was emotional in the post-race interview, credited the support from his friends and his family. And, yeah, really easy people to root for.
Yeah, as I say, they're both fun stories. Then you toss in the trainers, Kenny McPeak. He's always fun. And Wayne Lucas. Wayne Lucas had another freak. So, as I say, I'm knocking wood that this upcoming week is as productive. Because so far, I think the Triple Crown is, what we like to handicap, we like to bet, but as a guy who comes in here and does this and talks about the races, I also appreciate the good stories. And I think so far there have been plenty of good stories in the Triple Crown.
How do you keep the good stories from getting in the way of your betting stuff? That's the trick sometimes, right?
Well, I always say that. I'll do the morning handicapping show, and I'll say, I like this horse, but if this one wins, I have to admit I'll be happy.
Yeah, I have to say, I've never seen a happier bunch of losers than after the Princess Stakes. I talked to Jimmy Barnes, Stafford's assistant, and I said, oh, gosh, Star Imagination didn't run better. And he looked at me like he was a little confused and said, his answer, instead of anything about Imagination, was, I was so happy for Wayne. People didn't even acknowledge their own defeats. They were just so happy for Wayne.
Speaking of which, it's crazy. I was looking at Twitter and social media in a couple of weeks leading up to the Preakness. It's crazy. Lucas still gets on the horse in the morning.
Yeah, and they said that he's made a concession to the mounting block in the last few years. The truth is, he's been using that mounting block for a very long time. I would say for at least 15 years, if not longer, which is fair. It's a lot easier. It's also easier on the horse than putting your foot in the stirrup and using all your weight on one side of the horse to pull yourself up. So I don't think he's made too many concessions, to be honest with you, in the last few years.
Yeah, I'm not even holding that one against him. I just think it's amazing. No. When I saw those, so again, good story.
I do want to mention his wife, Lori Lucas, because she is amazing, and I think she is part of the glue that holds Wayne together. But at the same time, Wayne is just resilient as they come. But Lori Lucas is, she also shows up at the barn every day with a smile, not as early as Wayne. Nobody gets there as early as Wayne. But she's there helping everything move along smoothly.
Glad you mentioned her. Hoping for a big week this week, and I can tell you that you're in town now, but boy, for the past 6 months or so, I've been saying for a few months, the dial's up to 11 on the excitement, but now it's like moving to 12 or 13. It seems like we have
I know, and this is on a scale of 10,
yeah,
right?
You got and we got a concert coming up Wednesday night to kick things off. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Blues Traveler in downtown Saratoga. But we also have an event coming up on Tuesday night at the museum. It's going to benefit Thoroughbred Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. Folks can find tickets at thsaratoga.org and learn a little bit more about the organization as well. But you're going to be moderating Tuesday night at the museum. As I say, it'll be I'll be on the panel with Acacia and Maggie. Give us a little preview of what people can expect coming up on Tuesday night.
Well, Seth, I've been coming to Saratoga for 30 years for racing. And my husband and I bought a home here in 2018. We spend more time now. We still have a home in Louisville, more time here than ever. And one of the things I've gleaned from the local Saratogians is that I think most of the business owners, professionals, people who are from this area or have lived here for a long time, but not directly involved with horse racing, like horse racing. They like the idea of it. They like what it brings to their town, not just the diversity, but of course the business. But I don't think that they truly understand it. And I think they'd like to understand it a little better. And so Embrace the Belmont is an event where it's from 5:30 to 7:30 on Tuesday, as you mentioned, June 4th, at the National Museum of Horse Racing and Hall of Fame. And it benefits the therapeutic horses. But the idea of the event is to have business owners here in Saratoga and professionals understand horse racing better so that they walk away from there not just knowing which horses are running in the Belmont Stakes, but who is their horse and why. And so it gives them talking points as they meet with clients or have people come into their places of business for the next few days so that they can actually talk about the Belmont Stakes and maybe even horse racing with a little bit of expertise. So the first 15 minutes of our session is going to be just a handicapping 101 covering the basics. And then we're going to dive right into the Belmont Stakes. We'll take a look at the Kentucky Derby, at the Preakness Stakes, and of course at the Peter Pan Stakes, because those are the races that typically shape the field and decide who the winner is going to be for the Belmont Stakes. But that's going to be your area of expertise, Seth. You, Acacia, and Maggie are going to share your wisdom and your expertise about what you learned from Belmonts before, and we might even be thinking more like Travers, right? Because this is more like a Travers race, 1.25 miles at Saratoga. And so that's where your level of expertise from being here for so many years is going to come in and really help people to understand the nuances of, I'm going to call it Bellatoga, the Belmont at Saratoga, which is a lot different than the Belmont on Big Sandy at Belmont Park.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And as you say, we may have to, when we come into these big races, I like to look at trends often, the Triple Crown races, because as compared to, an average claimer on a Thursday in October, let's say, these Triple Crown races are on the same place in the calendar every year. And I think you can look at trends. Now, all of that said, I think this year is going to be fun and a little bit different in that normally it's 1.5 miles at Belmont. This year it's 1.25 miles at Saratoga. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun for all of us to kind of jump in and look at it maybe a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a good example of that. Ken McPeak pretty much said that if the Belmont Stakes were running at Belmont, he probably wouldn't be running Mystic Dan back to off of these two other races. But right now he's pointed for the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga, and that's because it's not as a tiring racetrack here at Saratoga as it is at Belmont Park, and it's also 1.25 miles instead of 1 mile and 1.25 miles instead of 1.5 miles. And so I think that the uniqueness of this year's event is going to shape the field differently than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and again, I'm looking forward to it. Everybody's looking forward to it. It should be a great, fun 4 days of racing. Some of the races have already been drawn and come out, and it looks like it's
many good races.
Yeah, it seems like it's shaping up to be a lot of fun. The fun will be the kickoff on Tuesday night. We put up the graphic.
Let's mention that is a near sold out event.
I was about to say we have the ticket. We have the graphic up where people can go for tickets. thssaratoga.org. And you click on the event link at the top of that page. But yeah, it sounds like tickets are going.
Right. In fact, we're actually going to oversell just a little bit because we are one ticket away from being completely sold out, and we're going to oversell a little bit because we expect to have some attrition, people who buy tickets and then for whatever reason aren't able to make it. But we're not going to oversell very much. And so if you want tickets and you think you want to go, or you think this is a great event for somebody else who doesn't understand horse racing as well as maybe some of your listeners, they need to get on it.
Yeah, and I think it's always a great idea to bring, and Saratoga is a great place to do that, to bring new people into the game. And it's fun, and it's always eye-opening for people. Well, you and I, who've been around the game for a long time, a lot of folks in a similar situation. It's always interesting at Saratoga. Like, I'll occasionally bring one of my sisters, maybe, if I learn, and you realize, now I'm seeing it through entirely new eyes, and you have to kind of go back and here's how you read the program, and here's how you bet. And I think it's worthwhile to do things like that because we kind of get so far away from it, we forget that when you just start, it's all kind of Greek.
Yeah. Actually, I was reading an article today in the TDN about City of Troy, who won the Upland Derby yesterday. And as I was reading the article, it occurred to me, if I hadn't been involved in horse racing for, at least 10 years, but in my case, my whole life, I wouldn't understand half of what the article says. We really do speak in pretty insider language.
Yeah, there's no question about it. So again, I think Saratoga is a great place with everybody on the picnic tables and whatnot to make the effort to maybe make it a little bit easier to understand, bring some new people into the game, and that'll be part of the fun coming up on Tuesday night. Again, Tuesday night, 5:30 to 7:30. National Museum of Racing. If folks aren't familiar, that's right across the street from the racetrack on Union Avenue. You can see the address to find some more information. Tickets at Saratoga.org. John, appreciate the visit this morning. Look forward to seeing you on Tuesday night.
Seth, always a pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you Tuesday. Take care.
Right. Again, that's coming up on Tuesday night at the museum. Love to see you there. It should be a lot of fun. Things up for Penn Stakes week in Saratoga. People are it'll be a lot of fun, no question about that concert on Wednesday, and then we move right into the action on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday racing. As far as morning programming here, the next time you see me in the morning, you'll see me this afternoon, of course. But the next time we do morning programming, Wednesday, we'll be live from our set right up by Clare Court on the backstretch at Saratoga. So Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock, we'll kick things off, and we'll go right through the weekend live from the Saratoga backstretch. We are looking forward to that, certainly. Hopefully you are too. But we'll wrap it up for this Sunday morning. It's been fun looking at some of that really nice stakes action from yesterday. We have some great racing this afternoon, though, as well. Again, Naira's taking the week off in prep to get everything ready up here for that Belmont at Saratoga meet. So no New York racing today. But we continue. I'll take a look at some Churchill and some Woodbine for this afternoon. Monmouth racing, Saratoga harness on a Sunday afternoon. So plenty of great racing and good fun this afternoon when I come back for racing OTB Live on a Sunday afternoon. I'll probably kick off in about an hour and a half or so at about 12:30. But we will wrap it up now for this Sunday morning. Been fun. Hopefully you gained a little info and hopefully maybe thought, maybe I'll head up to the event on Tuesday night. And again, that benefits Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga, nice little local organization, matching up people and horses and helping both, and there are retired racehorses involved. We'll learn more about them this summer as well. Our friend Kim Weir is involved in it, so we'll certainly check in and get more info on them. But again, thsaratoga.org for more info. All right, wrapping it up on a Sunday morning. Seth Merrow in the studio, thanking you for joining us. As always, Racing Across America wraps it up as far as studio action. But again, we will kick things off as far as the morning is concerned next Wednesday morning live from Saratoga. But I will be back in this afternoon for OTB Live on a Sunday afternoon. We'll kick off at about 12:30 or so. I'll see you then.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? The University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, Racetrack program can put you in the winner's circle.
We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing.